Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Today is Monday, February 14th, 2022. I'm Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So we have today and tomorrow left of the vault at 45% off for my 45th birthday. You can use the code BDAY45 in order to take that 45% off of your monthly subscription for the vault. And also for the rest of the month on UProfit Trader, we do have 40% off with the code UPRO40. So, guys, take advantage of that. Ooh, also don't forget that tomorrow we're having a tax class. That's really going to teach you some things that you need to know about taxes, and we're going to be able to ask questions. It'll be run by myself and Jay McFarland, although Jay's going to be doing all the talking because, let's be honest, he's the tax pro. I'm just there to smile and nod. But if you have questions over it, you can do that, or you can set up a free 20-minute consultation with Jay, and I'll have those links in the comments below here in the channel. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and check out what's going on with the news and with the market today. Okay, so let's head on over to the news. We can go to responsibledaytrading.com. You can just click here and go to news, or you can go to calendar and market news. Ooh, it looks like we have a busy week this week. So nothing today. Tomorrow we've got some pre-market. Wednesday pre-market. Then we got crude oil inventories at 9:30. Then we got FOMC after that, which can sometimes cause a little bit of a hustle and bustle. Thursday is all pre-market, so during the day should be all right. Friday we have a little bit of 9 a.m. But Friday I will be traveling, so I won't be here with you. But that's all right. I'm sure you won't miss me. All right, let's go ahead and look at what this market has for us. And we want to start off with the daily chart. Where are you at, sir? There you are. Ooh, wow. Okay, well, I missed out on that. So look what happened here. We talked about how weekly these were coming up and we anticipated it to push back down. Well, that is exactly what it did. It didn't do it right here, but we can see that it did have it happen where it pulled off that top Bollinger Band, rolled to the downside and pushed down, and now we've got some purple BBs. Now, with those BBs, my mouse is being weird. Okay, now with those BBs being purple, what we really want to see to anticipate this to push past this area is for these BBs to push through the bottom Bollinger Band. Right now, they're pulling down a little bit weekly, so we're not 100% sure if that's going to happen, but man, we sure did have a nice big push to the downside, and it looks like it's trying to create a reversal bar overnight to come back up, but we're really going to want to see these MACDs play their part in it, which means we're going to want to see those MACDs start to either slow or start to turn back to the upside if we're going to expect this to really come back up. But wow, that was pretty interesting to see that we finally broke through that area of the lower EMA, and now we're heading down towards that area where we once had the bounce to the upside. Another thing about this, if we get back down to that area, we're probably going to have divergence between these bottom two pivots. And here's why. The price has really taken off in these long bars to the downside. The BBs have just barely begun to move. So it may take a little bit of time to get down there. I guess we will have to wait and see. As I tell you always, we want to look at what's happening in the immediate for the way that I'm trading, or if you're trading in a similar style, looking at the overall will help us make a decision in, are we going to see a strong move to the downside or to the upside today? But we're still a little bit in that in between with the way the MACDs are inside of the Bollinger Bands. So technically, with these closes to the downside, we may see this bar just pull down and close more to the downside. Even though it's opened to the upside, we could possibly see this move back down more. I mean, we've got the entire day for this bar to form. I'm really watching what these MACD BBs do. So let's go ahead and look at the 28,657. Woo, doggy. Okay. So the 28,657 had this nice big push to the downside, and boom, we had a strong move to the downside. But look what happened in those MACDs in the strong move to the downside. We had price lead lower. We had MACDs leading way, way higher with this giant V pivot, which says, push back to the upside. Here's the thing that we've got going on. I've got the EMAs opened up to the downside with strength, and we're leading below these previous pivot areas, and we're sitting at the top Bollinger Band right here. So with the top Bollinger Band being in play, with the EMAs being in play, this may just be an area to push it back to the downside. Although we've got divergence saying, I'm not so sure about that. So those are things that we just have to keep in mind as the day opens up. Are we going to see these BBs push back through here? Are we going to start getting back above the zero line? It's going to take a lot of work to get back through these EMAs that are open up strong to the downside. Can it happen? Sure. Am I completely anticipating it? It's a little hard, but this V pivot, whenever we see these V pivots, it gives us a nice big push to the upside, but we've already had a nice big push to the upside for this V pivot. So it's gone from 43.60 to 44.15. That's a pretty big jump in that space. So we're going to have to see, is this top Bollinger Band going to hold out? Are we going to roll off of it and push to the downside, maybe creating more divergences before it pushes back up? Are they going to get in sync and start making lower pivots in the MACDs here? I mean, technically, we are pretty low. We're at a pretty low spot in the MACDs. And I like to kind of look back through here and say, okay, did we have anything that reached down much lower? And the lowest that we've seen these MACDs go in quite some time is right down here. Did I put that in the right place? I think I put it a little bit higher. We'll fix it in just a second as we spread this apart. So it does have some space to go to, those lowest areas. But it is a pretty common area that we've seen right down in here to bounce back up and push up. And really, if we're looking at the MACDs and the way they look here as they're coming up towards that top Bollinger Band, we can see these MACDs are trying to pick up the strength to the upside. We still have 12,000 ticks left in this particular bar. So, just watching and waiting is always a good idea. Let's see, let's go to our charts that, our trading charts, and see what we got going on here. First things first, we can see, looking at our 10,946, man, we still got some strength to the upside in the MACDs. They are separating, they're pulling apart. I mean, we're only a little bit into this into this bar right now of this BB. So, are we going to see it separate and pull apart? Are we going to see this slow and roll as we're inside of the EMAs? If we're looking at the 1597, so, initially it showed us a bounce up right in this area. Then we broke back below the Bollinger Bands again, but with very, very weak movement. So technically we're seeing a space for the move back to the upside. We can see it happening on the 233 here, and I have these pulled up way too high. Let me pull these down to make these even. We had the zero line bouncing off the 233, but one thing that I like to pay attention to is, are we bouncing off of an area on the 1597? And the area is way back here. So I'm a little bit anticipatory of this coming back down, but in the immediate, it's gonna be a little bit hard because the immediate's trying to show up. We're slowing those MACD BBs and trying to show a bounce back up to the upside here in the 1597. We've got lots of room to run before we get back to the zero line. So, I mean, okay. This one's a little tough. 1597, technically the direction is still down. We did come off of a divergence here as well. So if we can see MACDs leading higher, price leading lower. So we did come off of an overall bigger picture divergence that pushed this to the upside, but it's done its job. It moved us back towards the EMA and the zero line, and that's really what we're expecting divergence to do. But we're still inside of these areas on my bigger tick chart. So on the 10-9-46, the direction is still technically down as we're below the EMAs and just barely breaking back above the zero line. On the 15-97, the direction is technically up as we're back above the EMAs and we're back above the zero line, and we're trying to show this slow and roll here. I'd be really, really curious, and I'd want to break through this area here really before I made some strong decisions about taking any longs, because right now we're still outside of the Bollinger Bands, even though it's trying so hard to push up. MACDs are starting to lead a little bit lower on the 233, although, price was leading lower here as this bigger pivot, but we can see price and we got a divergence here. Price is equal that previous pivot point. MACDs are leading lower. So, while it's giving you that false sense of up on the 233, technically things are still looking to push to the downside. So it's trying really hard. We can see these MACDs are still outside of the Bollinger Bands, and it's really trying hard to push this back to the downside. If it does come back down, some areas that I'll look for it to reach to will obviously be the EMAs right in here. And you can see how they line up with the EMAs on the 10-9-46 possibly. And, if I wanted to, I could spread this out to both the areas because they're not too far off from each other. So we may see it reach down and kind of snuggle back in here. And something else that happens as this move continues up, because these EMAs are moving averages, they're going to keep coming up just a little bit more. So we may see it equal this area right here where this previous pivot happened, and maybe that's our stopping point. We never try and make it happen. We watch what's happening and we try and participate and be a part of it. So even though the MACDs were above the zero line and we're above the EMAs, we can see right now that it's starting to give that pushback down. So it gave that false sense of up. At the 233, our smaller tick charts can do that, can give that false sense of moving up when what's really happening is just a little bit of a pullback to continue in that direction. So, is it going to push up from here? You guys, it may. But right now, the MACDs are really, really struggling to show that to be true. Although they are very, very weak coming to the downside, they are still coming to the downside. We're at one of those areas that I find a little difficult to trade. The 233 is trying to give you the signals to push up, but the 1597 is just kind of out in that middle of nowhere to take a trade with the MACDs outside of the Bollinger Bands and still pushing down. Typically what I would see happen is a weak roll up here and a push back down. But it could definitely still continue up. But the market doesn't even open for about another hour and 15 minutes. So we may have just some kind of milling out, hanging out around here. We didn't have any early morning news, so nothing to tell us to go ahead, nothing to tell us that we needed to wait because of news or saying that there's going to be any kind of crazy jump or anything like that. So it's really interesting, as I'm watching these quote unquote reversal bars start to happen to the upside, and this little tiny bar here is trying to tell me that, hey man, this is really still trying to push up with the MACD still pushing to the upside here and the weak move to the downside. But it's really a flip of a coin right now. It's looking like we're still outside and pushing down, or are we trying to push up as the bigger tick chart still has MACDs strong to the upside, but we're still inside of the EMAs. So yeah, I really anticipated this to pull back down more, but it was giving that look. And this is where a lot of people get sucked in to try and take that move to the upside. They go, oh, there's a tiny reversal bar. We've got weak EMAs. We're above the zero line. But there's so many other signals saying, not yet. Wait to take a long, because now is not the time. And here's what I was talking about, and we'll wrap it up with this and I just want to put the crosshairs on for this really quick. I don't love the crosshairs, but here's what I was talking about those EMAs picking up the pace and coming to equal this previous pivot period, our pivot right here. And you can see as the moving averages were continuing up, now we're just about equal. Before it was back here, now we're just about equal with those EMAs and that previous price right in here. And I want to just put a little circle around that previous price, and you can see how the EMAs are starting to line up with that previous price. Oh, that sun is coming in bright over there. It's woo. The sun is coming in pretty bright this morning. Well, it's a beautiful day outside. Let's make it a beautiful day inside, y'all. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Have a great Valentine's Day. Please sign up for the tax class. We would love to have you there. We'd love to have your questions. If you have any questions over anything that we've discussed here, or if you want to know more about the vault, or if you want to know more about the tax classes or the startup or any of that, just let us know. Reach out to us at info@responsibledaytrading.com, and we'll be happy to help you. All right, guys. Hope you have a wonderful week. Have a beautiful day. Happy Valentine's Day. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.